So I woke up this morning and I tried to watch church service because today is Sunday, March 31st. It is Easter Sunday for those that celebrate it, and or Resurrection Sunday for a lot of Christians. And so I was like, let me log into somebody's church today because if you're a loyal listener, you know that I stopped going to church some time ago, but I still do listen to, of course, inspirational teaching messages, occasionally. And so I tried, y'all. I tried. I looked up 2 or 3 churches online that I felt like, I could, get something from today. And I was sorely disappointed very quickly. One of the live streaming churches, was still doing their old tricks. And by old tricks, I'm talking about, from 1990 something, the sow a seed message, give in order to receive, which of course is a principle. And I do agree with the principle, but has been manipulated in the church. And then I turned on one who had their choir and their worship team. And, I'm not going to break down choirs versus worship team. You'll have to look that up for yourself if you don't know what I'm talking about. But anyhow, I looked at one because, I love music and I love gospel music, and they had their full choir and the praise and worship team. But the singing was, I don't know. I mean, it really was like no energy behind it, it felt to me. It seemed like pomp and circumstance. And so before I went down a trail of getting frustrated because my expectations were not met, I was like, you know what? Let me just log off right now. And although recently I have shifted my workout from Monday through Saturday and then just dedicated Sundays to rest day, I actually felt like going to the park and, getting a few steps in, which I got about 8,000 in, just to free my mind, which leads me to the topic for today. But before I get into the topic, hello, beautiful. My name is Evelyn. I am the creator of this podcast, as well as the author of the book titled Beautiful I Am Colored, which is still available exclusively on my website at beautifuliamcolored.com. Today's topic, which is more than likely going to be a multi-part upload, so you might be getting more than one episode from me this week. So today's topic, tired of the games. And I'm going to get into that in a second, right after I go through my shout outs and thank yous. So shout outs and thank yous is a segment of my podcast where I shout out a person, place, thing, or idea, just as a sign to show what I'm grateful for, what I have been grateful for throughout the course of my previous week. And this week is an interesting shout out and thank you because the people I'm about to shout out and thank you, I absolutely know none of them personally. However, they were highly beneficial in me making some moves that frankly I should have made for years. And so the first shout out and thank you goes to, I believe it's a YouTube creator, amongst other things, Alexis Sparks. Some kind of way she came up in my YouTube feed because you all know I like to listen to inspirational, motivational, and personal development type YouTube videos, usually the same people, Jim Rohn, Earl Nightingale, Bob Proctor, etc. Lisa Nichols. Anyhow, she popped up in my feed, or her YouTube channel did, and she was talking about like something to the effect of finally sharing her story about, how she left her job and, was doing all the things that she loves, and essentially, making money off of it. And so I was interested because my job is not necessarily serving the same purpose as this podcast. And, I'm interested in navigating into doing 100% purpose-driven work and being compensated for it. So I was curious and tuned in to listen. And in the episode, she referenced another podcast or another creator about accounts, because one of the main points she was making was about, she was wanting to leave her job, but she was doing kind of the things wrong. And really the way you get to leave your job is that you have to have multiple streams of income, which has been pretty prevalent, on all of the social media platforms for the financial interesting podcast. And she was talking about like how she learned about, moving money into, interest-bearing accounts and referenced the Expanded podcast. So she encouraged her listeners to go to listen to that. So I did. It was a 2-part episode with the host and their guest, and they talked about how your money is not working for you. So basically, let me get to the point. So listening to those 3 entities, Alexis Sparks, and then a couple of Expanded podcast episodes that I listened to, it really convicted me, because I have a couple of retirement accounts that are just sitting, and here's the shameful part, kind of low key. They've just been sitting for years, not accruing any interest, just sitting. And I can't really do anything with them. One of the states I don't even live in anymore. So, I'm not going to retire from there, take advantage of the pension that I had set up. So they were like, transfer your money to, interest-bearing accounts. So long story made short, I ended up transferring some money into an already existing interest-bearing account that I have. And I'm just like, why haven't I done this before so that my money can be making money? Why not? And so I'm really thankful because, I don't want to operate from a place of lack. And I understand that the chances of Social Security and the other things that the baby boomers have been able to rely on will more than likely not be available for my generation, Generation Xers. So I'm very thankful to come across those podcasts, which led to me now looking into YouTube University, if you will, to kind of get taught about mutual funds and, what would be the best practice for me. I already have brokerage accounts with Webull and Moomoo, but I don't put a lot of money in them at all. And so just working through some strategies of how to grow my money. So I'm really thankful for that. The second thing that I'm thankful for is kind of just resting and relaxing on the whole new car thing. So I've been wanting a new car for a while. Currently, I drive a 2008 Lexus. Very dependable, hybrid. I love it. It's just, antiquated. You know what I'm saying? I have to pop in the Bluetooth accessory thingy into the cigarette lighter holder thing, and then change the knob to the radio frequency to a tune that can pick up through this apparatus. And then that registers with my cell phone, which I have to Bluetooth into that so that I can hear music in my car. And I just really want a new car because, you know what I'm saying? I don't necessarily want a car payment, but I want a new car or newer car, So one, I can be, what they say in the South, flicking my ride and stuff. But also because, I want the bells and whistles. But I relaxed that thought this week. You want to know why? Because of the podcast that I listened to. Because they talked about so many other things. I'll make sure to link both episodes that I'm referring to, or all 3 episodes that I'm referring to. So if you're interested, you can listen to them too. But it just really convicted me to kind of change my thoughts on a few things. And so that concludes shout outs and thank yous for this week. And now I want to cascade right into today's topic, which is really going to serve more so as an intro, because like I said, this is going to be more than the time that I have for today. So more than likely you will get a second episode uploaded from me this week of a part 2 of this topic, which I feel is very relevant for the time and season that we're in. Okay, so getting right into the topic, tired of the games. And I don't know about you, but I'm just nonsense. I've always been a no nonsense person pretty much my whole life. My mother can attest to this, but I'm at an all time like capacity of the stuff that's going on. And it started, like I said, like this morning, like we're trying to listen to church online. I'm tired of pimping preachers in churches, which of course I've been over that, which is why I'm not a member at anybody's church because of the manipulative tactics that are sometimes associated with, church growth, with church planting. And if you're not familiar with these phrases, if you're interested to learn more, you can go look it up on the Google and you can learn all about it. But I'm just so over that. I'm tired of these crooked ass, self-serving ass politicians who do not have your best interest at heart. They already come in with their own streamlined agendas for their different respective groups and handlers, that they're representing. And I'm just like, what? You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, but what can I do about it? Right? Because I cannot control anybody else. I cannot control these systems individually or independently, just myself. But the one thing that I can do is I can control myself, right? And so the question becomes, what can we do if you're also in that same place where you're just like, I'm tired of these games out here. Life is far too serious to be playing all these games with people, with people's lives, with people's money, with people's families. And I was just like reflecting on my walk this morning. And I was just like, you know what? It starts with self. It starts at home. And I want to share with you 3 tips. It may cascade into 4 by the time I get to part 2. But I'm going to start with the first one today. 3 tips that I'm going to use and implement in order just to keep my mind, together, keep my heart together, my spirit up as we navigate what they call the Aquarian age that we have crossed into. And let me just say this, I am no expert. I am a very deeply sensing, feeling person, but I can say that apparently the Aquarian age, according to some experts, has a lot to do with what we're experiencing from a human standpoint across the globe. And so you can Google that too, because somebody who is much more versed than I can help explain and break that down. I just know that I am being impacted at a much deeper level. So tip number 1, what can I do about being tired of the games? I've shared this with you before, but one of the things is to stop or minimize social media engagement. I've talked about this before again, but let me just say, I feel like this is a very critical point because social media, while it's effective, of course, I use it on a weekly basis, and you can learn a lot from it. There's also a lot of make-believe. Remember I talked about that in a few episodes back, the land of make-believe. And I referenced Mr. Rogers. And honestly, like social media, you can't fully trust it unless you know the person who is talking personally, which of course is social media. So you're not going to know every single person. And hopefully you have discernment enough to pick through, what is the BS versus what is authentic and meaningful to you, the listener. But I found that stopping it completely for a season, or if you can't, because you might be like me and, part of your business or part of your hobby is reliant upon engaging in social media in some form or fashion, to minimize your media engagement. Perhaps you minimize it to, say, listening to things like how in my shout out and thank you segment that I share with you. Perhaps you minimize it to learning about things that are going to actually benefit you as a person. Perhaps we are in spring, even though some days here in Denver it doesn't feel like it. We are in spring now, and perhaps you could use a little or maybe even a lot of spring cleaning. I can tell you in my house, I could use a lot of spring cleaning, deep cleaning at that. what am I doing? What are you doing to improve upon your overall health and well-being? And yes, that includes your mental health. What things have you put in place? Is it time to sharpen those tools? Is it time to identify new tools that can help increase and sharpen your skill set and your mind all the more? Is it time to, open up your circle to think about how to grow those different friendships and relationships? These are all things that, while not solves the problem per se, I believe firmly and deeply that everything starts with self and home, right? Self first, and then that expands into your home. So that's tip number one. I'm going to talk in the next episode, still on this topic of tired of the games, and share 2 more tips with you in that episode. And so I hope you'll tune in for that. But for now, I just want to say again, happy Easter to those of you who celebrate it. I want you to have a wonderful week. Don't let this BS that's out here and the stuff that they're, stirring up in the realms right now, get you down. If you need to take a break, do that. If you need to take a PTO day, self-care day from work, I encourage that as well if it's available to you. And I just hope that you have an amazing week this week. It really starts with you. It really, truly does. And so until the next episode, which will drop later this week, this concludes part 1 of Tired of the Games. Thank you so much for tuning in. I can't tell you that enough. And I look forward to seeing you again. In the meantime, I said seeing you. I should say sensing you. I look forward to sensing you again in the future. And until then, remember, the future you is waiting on you. Have a great week, everyone.